Do you feel envious? If so, congratulations. Yes, congratulations. Because most of the people on this earth, they feel envious, but they never admit, even to themselves. I'm not speaking about public admitting. People feel envious, but they will never admit this habit. So, if you are watching this video, you probably already recognize there is an envy in you, and you are already one step farther. And actually, you are, I can say, spiritually awakened. That's what spiritual awakening means. But we are not going to talk about spiritual awakening and what is here in this video, because I'm going to talk about this in the separate video. Even shocking discovery may be that you realize that you may be even envious about close person to you. Is it your family member, cousin, your friend? That's a shocking thing to admit. But if you have admitted this to yourself, you are a brave person. That's why I want to congratulate here. Now let's talk about this a little bit deeper. Why are people envious in the first hand? You could only be envious to the person that has something that you think that you don't. You can't. How do you realize this? You can only be envious to someone who has something that you are interested in. So let's use this as our life lesson. It teaches us what in our heart we think that we are lack of. If you have lots of friends, you are not going to be envious to someone who has friends, because you have them too. You are just going to be cheerful or happy about other people to have friends. But if you think that you don't have good friends, you don't have sufficient amount of friends, and then you see story of your friend who has lots of friends, then you are gonna get envious, and then you are gonna feel down. So let's use this as a spiritual practice for our self-actualization journey. That's really good practice. And I wanted to mention this in a first hand. Before we move forward any further, I want to say that never ever blame yourself for anything that you feel, because it's never your fault. It's not your fault. Obviously, you don't want to feel envious because it's a negative emotion, and if you feel so, it's okay. Use it for self-liberation, self-actualization, not for blaming yourself and causing even more negativity. Unfortunately, I don't know what is in your case, but in my case, religions are thought, I think, not in a correct way. I see that there is huge wisdom in most prominent religions of the world, but unfortunately, how it is interpreted, sometimes it's not most accurate, let's say. They teach us that when we feel envious, it's a bad thing, and we are going to be punished for that feeling. As if God is someone who always watches us in order to punish us. I don't know again, but that was my understanding in my childhood, and that's how I understood how I was taught about religion and how things worked in my life. And it took me years to realize that it's not so. To feel envious, it's nothing. No one gonna punish you about that. You will be naturally punished because you will not live life to its fullest. That's your punishment. Because to live the life to its fullest, you don't experience this kind of negative emotions anymore. You liberate yourself from that, because to feel envy, it's not bad for other person. It's bad for you, only for you. It's interesting how late I made this realization in my life. So let's now together use this negative emotion for our spiritual awakening, spiritual realization, spiritual actualization, or self-liberation, whatever you call it. In order to better understand how the procedure works, let's take one example. One of the things that I probably felt envious about other people in my life was that they had a really good group of friends, because I thought that I never had one. Let's take this as an example to understand the process. For a long period of my life, this disrupted me, but I was not aware of it. I just did not pay attention to what was going to me. And every time there was some situation in life that could trigger this emotion, I would let it be triggered, and I was living my life in a cycle. That's how people are actually keeping themselves trapped in the same life situation, and that's how and why people never manage to change their life actually. Every time I had same reaction, but I was not paying any attention to my inner self, so I was not aware of it. It was unconscious. It was let in a shuffle, and any situation could affect my inner space. Until I realized that there was this resistance inside of me, that people who share their friends' stories on social media, let's say, in the first hand, would make me really down. And then I digged more into details. Why would this make me feel down? And it led me to very deep childhood related experience and memories, let's say. I unlocked and brought into awareness things that was distracting me from my childhood without ever noticing it. The fact that I was always thinking that I didn't have good friends and other people did. Now, until now, let's summarize again what happened until now. Like, for many years, nothing was happening, and one day I brought into awareness my frustration, and then I digged into details, and I was completely honest to myself on what was going inside me, and that led me to recognition and making conscious myself about my pain that is rooted back to my childhood. Now you may wonder about more interesting thing. What's next in this story? Okay, you make yourself conscious about it. What did you do? How your life changed after this? After this, I actually realized that I have a choice. I can either concentrate myself on that or just don't let these triggers be in my life. And to avoid unnecessary situations, we think that it's weakness, but I always say that it's strength, in my opinion. If something makes me feel down, why would I force myself into repeating the same action? It's not wise. Why? Well, it narrows down to the social media, right? I stopped using social media in order to dig deeper inside myself, because watching other people having friends and having nice time and being envious did not bring any negativity in my life, other than it did not bring any positivity in my life other than negativity. So why would I keep myself trapped there and keep watching other people having fun with their friends and putting myself down? It's just not wise. I will just not watch it again, and I will just focus on how can I improve my life situation. That's where positive changes can happen into our lives. And did it happen to my life? I will tell you now. Yes, actually, those time that I spent without social media in order to find out what was going into my life was very peaceful. I felt very less frustrated, and quality of my life improved straight away. I felt good in my skin, and I realized that I don't even need to have friends, and I feel very good being on my own, and only thing that makes me think that I don't feel good is that I watch other people's life instead of just living my life. Wow, it's boom, it's really, really big thing, guys. Think about this. Only thing that make me think that I am not complete without having friends is that I was concentrated on other people's life, imagining how wonderful their life was with having friends, instead of focusing on my life. When I started focusing on my life, I realized that my life is peaceful and good. Guys, it's a great thing to realize for yourself. First and foremost, nobody's life is perfect, guys. Everybody's life is painful. We are in the same ship here. We are in the same ship. Respect each other. You don't know what other people are going through, but that's the topic of another video. I will for sure go into details of that too. So you can consciously avoid being trapped into the situation by removing removing unnecessary triggers. Alright guys, removing unnecessary triggers is not weakness, it's strength, but we can't escape this. We can't escape always, and this kind of situations may follow us somewhere. What happens then? First of all, making yourself conscious about things that bother you brings improvement in the quality of your life straight away. It brings peace straight away until you forget your realization, and it happens oftentimes. Sometimes we realize things and then we forget it again. That's why it's important to write down and things like that. I will talk about this later. But let me tell you what's gonna happen most likely. If this is something that does not really bothers you from your childhood, so it's not deep into you as a huge pain, and if it does not have really huge negative entity in yourself, most likely you will liberate yourself then straight away, and once you realize that this bothers you, if it's a little thing. For example, somebody made bad remark about you and you are thinking about it, and then you realize that this really bothers you throughout the day, and then you realize that it doesn't make any sense to be bothered about something at some other people, what they told you, and then you just give up this thought and it's easy to forget forever. But if it comes from your childhood and it's rooted deep inside your childhood, it's really not that easy to liberate yourself straight away. Let me tell you what's gonna most likely happen and what happened to me. In the worst scenario, you may still continue resisting the fact that you don't have good friends, and next time when this kind of circumstance appears, your negative reaction will be triggered again. But as you made it conscious once, there is high likelihood that after negative reaction was triggered, you will again after some time realize that this happened again. And when you try to be present, when you try to be observer of what's going on inside you continuously, it may be finished and you will no longer have this negative trigger inside you. For example, next time when you see the post from your friend who has lots of friends having fun with their friends, blah blah blah, you may still feel down and feel down for 5 minutes or one day, I don't know, and after one day you will again realize that okay, I'm feeling down again for this reason. So you realize retrospectively, and our aim is to be present enough to realize our negative emotion before it arises, and that's what freedom means, right? We don't allow this emotion arise anymore because we free ourselves from it, because we make them aware, and awareness is the lightness, consciousness is the lightness, and evil is unconsciousness. Evil is unconsciousness. Consciousness is angel, it's light. So time to time, you may narrow down your retrospective reaction. You may realize once after one day, then after 1 hour, then after 5 minutes, then after 2 minutes, and finally, you will be able to be there for you whenever this negative trigger, envious reaction, is going to be arisen. Oh my god, sorry, I'm not native in English. I'm sorry for your errors, but I hope the content is interesting enough to bear with my English. Okay, this video is getting for too long. I want to wrap up everything that I said before I move forward and close this video. First, we acknowledge the fact and accept it without blaming ourselves, because it's not really our fault. Just realize and accept this is first and most important step that brings liberation, because awareness, that's what brings liberation. And then it's important that not to forget this thing that you made aware, and we tend to forget it, unfortunately. After making yourself conscious, you have two choices. You can remove yourself from the trigger that causes negative emotion, in this case envy. It's your superpower, it's your strength to do so, but you can't escape forever. You may face some situation in life when either you can't remove yourself or it just pops up without you putting yourself into the situation, like social media. In that case, it's very important to be present. To be present, I mean to be observer of your inner process and thoughts, and to be aware what's going on inside you, and be there until this envy arises. And when you make yourself aware of why this happens to you, it should be getting easier and easier after time to time. You may not manage to do so after one trial, especially if the pain is long rooted inside you, but it's fine. Everything is fine. Acceptance is the key. Awareness is the key. And time to time, you will be able to shorten the process of your retrospective awareness, I call it. And at the end, you will be able to be aware before the negativity, envy arises in yourself. And then you will be able to free yourself from everything. And what I don't talk about in this video, and I want to still mention, that if you feel that you are lack of something, you should definitely to work forward to changing the situation, but you should never be emotionally triggered, and you should never feel devastated or not in peace, let's say. That's how I call. Sorry for the long video, but this topic is deep. Okay, that was it. Congrats if you came until here. If you came until here, you might have enjoyed this content. Here I just share my own realizations after my spiritual awakening with the intention to help yours. I believe that if we would talk more about these things, life will be a more beautiful place for everyone, and I hope that I take a little bit part of this process of making life a little bit more beautiful. There are numerous ways that I could help you with. The first, make sure to subscribe and press the notification bell and leave a comment, because I read all of them. Second, if you want to learn more about my own wisdom of all my life, what life taught me, what I have realized in my life, and what I have accumulated, if it's anything interesting for you, and if you are looking for more structured knowledge, which is a bit hard to achieve here on YouTube, you could consider buying my book, link in the description. Third way, you might be interested to mingle with like-minded conscious people. For that, I have various workshops. And fourth way is, if you feel lost in your life and you need some life coaching, here I am for one-on-one meetings, and I make sure to be available for everyone. Thank you. Bye. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your life.